Both fam, something absolutely insane just hit the AFC, and the timing couldn't be more unreal for the Chargers. I'm talking about a moment where the entire league stops what it's doing. Every fan base freezes for a second, and all the noise, all the conversations, all the speculation suddenly swings in one direction. And then, right when the outside world is losing its mind over that storyline, the Chargers themselves go out and put something on tape that completely changes who this team might be. Two things happening at the same time. That's how narratives shift. That's how unexpected teams emerge and become dangerous. And Bolt fam, the Chargers just stepped into that moment. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. Because let's not pretend this first piece of news was normal. Philip Rivers is back in the National Football League. Not as a coach, not as a guest consultant, not as a ceremonial figure for a one-day retirement thing. He is back in the league as an active quarterback. The Indianapolis Colts signed him to their practice squad in December, while we're in the middle of one of the most chaotic AFC Wild Card races we've seen in years. 44 years old, 5 years retired, comes right back into the arena like he never left. Tell me that doesn't feel like the NFL just threw a curveball off the scoreboard. And if you're part of the Bolt fam, this hits on multiple levels. Because this isn't just any former player. This is Philip Rivers, the quarterback you grew up watching, the guy who never ducked a hit, the guy who never threw a lazy ball, the guy who played with a torn ACL in the AFC Championship game, the guy who talked trash like it was an art form, the man whose bolo tie became a cultural moment. He's a Charger to the core. So hearing he's back, that hits your heart first before your brain even shows up to the party. You get that little spark of excitement like, dang, it's good to see 17 get another shot. But once the emotion settles, the reality steps in. The Colts are not some random team. They're in the mix. They're in the mess. They're in the same logjam of AFC teams staring at each other like, somebody blink so we can see who actually makes it. And now Rivers is there. And if he gets elevated, even for 1 week, that could impact everything. A game swings here. A tiebreaker swings there. A team drops one they weren't supposed to. Another team steals one they weren't supposed to. And suddenly the Chargers are either sitting prettier or staring at a mountain. That's how razor thin this thing is. But the funniest part, Bolt fam, is how we reacted. Chargers Twitter turned into a full comedy special. Some people were like, the Colts better send us a third-round pick for emotional compensation. Others were imagining Instagram graphics of Herbert versus Rivers in playoffs like some Avengers multiverse showdown. And then you had people just staring at the screens in silence, processing the fact that somehow, someway, Rivers once again found a way to make himself relevant to the Chargers' path without even being on our roster. It's chaos, pure chaos, the kind that only the NFL and specifically the Chargers can give you. But as crazy as all that is, it's noise compared to what the Chargers themselves just discovered on the field. Because that's where the real shift happened. That's where the identity changed. That's where the Chargers found something that could actually take them somewhere. Not a hype moment, not a fluke, not a spark that dies out the next week. A real blueprint, a real formula, a real football identity that this fan base has been begging for years. Bolt fam, the Chargers found a run game. A real, violent, consistent, punishing run game. And not just one guy getting hot, not some random busted coverage turning into a 70-yard stat booster. I'm talking about an actual three-headed monster that controlled the entire game script. A rushing attack that allowed the Chargers to dictate the terms of engagement. A rushing attack that changed everything about how this team played, how Herbert played, how the defense played, how the whole locker room felt. Running the ball isn't just about yards, it's about tone. And for the first time in forever, the Chargers set the tone.
Start with Omarion Hampton. This dude came off injured reserve after 9 weeks, like he had been replaying the moment he got hurt 1,000 times in his head and swore he'd make up for every second he missed. 13 carries, 56 hard-earned yards, and the touchdown that finally broke through for the offense when everything felt tight. But more important than the numbers is how he ran. Hampton runs with a level of authority, controlled aggression, balanced patience. He doesn't dance, he doesn't hesitate, he plants that foot, lowers his shoulders, and forces defenders to make business decisions. That's the kind of back defenses hate seeing late in the year. That's the kind of back that can stabilize an offense going through chaos. Then you add Kimani Vidal, and this is where the monster gets really interesting, because Vidal and Hampton are so different yet complement each other perfectly. Vidal's is a spark plug, the accelerant, the guy who touches the ball and instantly raises your heart rate because he might take it 40 yards every time. That 60-yard catch and run early in the game was the kind of play you rewind 3 times because you can't believe a rookie just did that to an NFL defense. And Vidal didn't just flash, he sustained. 14 carries, consistent tough yards, smart reads, no wasted motion. Vidal is a type of back who forces defenses to respect every inch of the field. Now, here comes the third head, the unexpected one, the one that caught the Eagles completely off guard. Justin Herbert, the quarterback who came into this game with a broken hand and an elbow that couldn't stop bleeding, led the team in rushing. 66 yards, 10 carries, and these were not desperation scrambles. These were calculated decisions, reads, responses. Herbert's legs became the equalizer. Defensive backs turn their backs, Herbert attacks. Linebackers drop too deep, Herbert gashes them. Edges crash inside, Herbert punishes them with speed. That's what great quarterbacks do. They don't force the play they want, they take the play the defense gives them and make it hurt. And the offensive line deserves real credit. Because yes, in pass protection, things got hairy. Herbert took hits he shouldn't have, but the run blocking was the best we've seen all year. It was clean, it was physical, it was synchronized. That matters. Run blocking isn't just execution, it's attitude. And the Chargers' offensive line showed attitude. They showed they could move bodies. They showed that if you give them assignments that play to their strengths, they will deliver. So the coaches adjusted. They leaned into it. 38 rushing attempts. You know how rare that is for this team? That is not the script we're used to. And honestly, it felt refreshing. Now, let's talk about the defense. Because if the offense provided the heartbeat, the defense provided the backbone. 4 interceptions on Jalen Hurts. 4. And none of them were cheap. These were smart plays, discipline, film study, scheme mastery. Deshaun hand dropping under a route like he's a disguised linebacker? Genius. Cam Hart making not 1, but 2 clutch plays after inconsistent weeks? Growth. Tony Jefferson sealing the game with veteran instincts? That's the stuff contenders do. That's the stuff good teams rely on. And it wasn't just the turnovers, it was the physicality, the communication, the consistency. And then you get to Cameron Dicker. Both fam, this dude is becoming a legend. I'm not even exaggerating. 5 field goals, every single one clean, every single one crucial. And then the 54-yard dagger in overtime? That's when you know your kicker is built different. Some guys have power, some guys have accuracy. Dicker has both, and the ice-cold mentality to match. When he lines up, I don't even stress anymore. And I've been a Chargers fan long enough to know how rare it is to feel that way. Put all this together and look at what you get. An emotional week where the AFC gets shaken up from the outside by a legend stepping back into the arena. And at the same exact time, the Chargers build something internally that's way more important. Something real. Something that changes the equation. Something opponents now have to game plan for in a serious way. Because running the ball isn't just about the rushing yards. It changes everything. It slows down pass rushers. It keeps your defense fresher. It protects your quarterback. It controls the clock. It swings momentum. It creates play action opportunities. It reduces risk. It shortens the game. And most importantly, it travels. Run games travel to cold stadiums, to windy stadiums, to hostile playoff environments. This isn't finesse football. This is grown man football. And for the first time in a long time, the Chargers showed they can play grown man football. So here's where we are, Boat fam. Rivers is back in the league creating headlines, nostalgia, debate, and absolute madness across the AFC. It's wild, it's fun, it's stressful, it's everything. But what matters more is the identity the Chargers just unlocked. A 3-headed monster, a defense with teeth, a kicker with ice, a quarterback refusing to break, and a blueprint that doesn't rely on being perfect, just being tough. If the Chargers stay with this identity, if they keep leading on Hampton, Vidal, and Herbert, if the offensive line keeps blocking with that edge, if the defense keeps hunting the ball, if the coaching staff stays committed to who they truly are, then it does not matter how chaotic the AFC becomes. It does not matter who signs where. It does not matter what the Colts do. The Chargers will be a problem, a real problem, and the kind of problem no team wants to face in January. Boat fam, We just witnessed a shift, a real one. And if this team keeps its foot on the gas, the AFC is about to learn exactly how dangerous the Chargers can be when they finally tap into their real identity.